Hello everyone, it's me again, specializing in reviewing new and interesting stories, especially comedies. If you find them enjoyable, don't forget to like and subscribe to support me and give me more motivation. And now, let's get into the content. After witnessing the absolute power from him, Monkey King was utterly disappointed and slumped to the ground. This difference seemed like an insurmountable wall, and he said, "Am I just going to lose like this?" But shortly after, he raised his head to the sky and yelled, "I can't lose, I won't accept it." Then he turned and blamed Hao Xian, "You must have cheated. Are you relying on your fancy equipment? Winning without honor is not admirable." Seeing this stubborn refusal to accept defeat, Hao Xian didn't hesitate to respond, "Losing is losing. Why are you making a scene here? Or how about this, I'll lend you my equipment to wear, and then we'll have a rematch. What do you think? How about this, then? I'll lend you my equipment to wear, and then we'll have a rematch. What do you think?" He was startled by the straightforward response. Hao Xian looked smugly at him and taunted, "Well, then you won't have any excuses left to argue, right?" Upon hearing these words, Monkey King became ecstatic and exclaimed, all right, give it to me then. Watch me turn you into a cow dung field right away." But suddenly, Monkey King blushed and sweat poured down his face. He seemed to remember something and reconsidered, No, this won't do." After saying this, Monkey King promptly left, not forgetting to boast, "Let's call it a truce for today. We'll have a rematch another day." Then he signaled for his little brothers to leave. Seeing this arrogant Monkey King, the others were puzzled, but they had some suspicion that Monkey King seemed to be hiding something. The leader wanted to leave, but the followers insisted they stay. They shouted wildly, saying, "Mr. Big Shot, this is a golden opportunity." "That's right, Mr. Big Shot, the one who wants to exchange equipment is definitely not Mr. Big Shot's opponent. We can't just let this pass." Then they burst into tears, hitting the nail on the head. Flower Fruit Mountain has been blown away by him with just one blow. "Mr. Big Shot, you must seek revenge for our livelihoods. Otherwise, how can Mr. Big Shot face the elders under the golden stream?" Hearing these words, Monkey King also felt his warrior blood boiling within him. He turned back with a smug smile and said, all right, I understand, you guys can stop bothering me to death now." Then he looked at Hao Xian and said, "Give me the equipment, I'll exchange it, and then I'll be back." After hearing this again, Hao Xian finally became sure that this guy was problematic. With his personality, he couldn't possibly do such strange things. He then handed over the equipment to Monkey King, who quickly ran far away to change. Monkey King hurriedly changed his clothes, thinking to himself that he had to do it quickly. If he was discovered, he would be in big trouble. But how could he escape Hao Xian's gaze? He stood above, looking down and suppressing his laughter. Monkey King noticed and turned back like a stone statue on the spot. At this point, we can see another shock for this inexperienced young monkey. He was frightened and said, "Oh, I'm dead this time, it's over." Hao Xian couldn't hold back anymore, he just pointed at him and laughed, "What on earth is this, ha." Monkey King, in turn, got angry and chased after him, shouting, "You wretched fellow, come back here. I'm going to kill you." But the moment Monkey King fell silent was when he looked back. He was standing in front of all his little brothers, staring at each other eye to eye. Witnessing their great king like that, they were all stunned, unable to believe their own eyes. On the muscular arms of Monkey King were tattoos of Hello Kitty, frogs, pandas, and 7-colored rabbits, all incredibly adorable. The group of people from the sect master was horrified. Not a single one of them had any color left in their faces upon seeing it. The sect master stuttered, unable to speak properly, What is this? Are these tattoos of a notorious demon king? Oh my, with such a shocking revelation, can we survive and leave this place?" At this point, Monkey King seemed to lose his mind and shouted loudly, "What are you laughing at? Do you think I won't punch you all to death? What's so funny? Why can't a demon king have cute tattoos?" What's the problem? Damn it, I'll kill you all. Despite his little brother's continuous efforts to restrain him and calm him down, some of them couldn't help but laugh. After a moment of fierce struggle and anger, the scene turned into a tearful one. Monkey King lay on one side, hugging his knees, crying his heart out, murmuring to himself, "Hoo-hoo, why? Why can't a man like cute things? How can I show my face to anyone? Why would they still follow me? They'll laugh at me, the great king." After a while, Monkey King regained his composure. He tried to suppress his embarrassment and said, "No more nonsense. I can't afford to think about this anymore. I need to focus on this battle." Then, he unleashed a terrorizing aura far stronger than before. Because of this, he laughed maniacally and said, "Haha, indeed, the problem lies in the equipment. You'll know my skills this time." He then showed his determination through his eyes. In an instant, he charged at an incredible speed to attack him. Meanwhile, Hao Xian stood there, looking at him like a clown dancing around. He raised his clenched fist without knowing what to say, as he couldn't find a fitting name for this punch. He prepared to unleash his move, unsure of what to call it, so, he named it the Instant Death Fist. Seeing this, Monkey King sneered contemptuously, "Your technique is full of flaws. How could you hope to defeat me with that?" After finished speaking, a blow struck, causing a violent shockwave that shattered the surrounding rocks and earth into tiny fragments. Not only that, it also shook a corner of the continent. But in the blink of an eye, the battle came to an end. The scene now was once filled with fragrant flowers and strange grass, but it quickly turned into a desolate, barren wasteland. Each sensation of suffering enveloped the human, consciousness lost in the universe, faith then to ancient literature, followed by waves of unclear meanings to reality, rational communication, hope for time, slavery then to mastery, burning destiny with hatred, chaotic love binding liberation, deep darkness, stagnation then to freedom. The young Wukong seemed to grasp all truths, but it felt like losing everything. Now he lay at the bottom of a pit, the result of the recent powerful attack, and it was he who had to remain there. Monkey King was bewildered to find himself lying on the ground, his face pale and bloodless. Hao Xian approached and said to him, "You cannot understand, can you? What just happened is called the path of enlightenment, a kind of power of enlightenment." Hearing this from him, Monkey King only now realized the difference. A monkey thirsting for strength always desires to be stronger. He said, "How can I achieve it?" He continued, "Your martial path is too obsessed with perfection. Even if you pursue the most powerful weapons or eternal immortality methods, you have overlooked the truth that your grand path is not yet complete. Only by relinquishing perfection and simultaneously embracing reason and chaos can the true essence of the grand path of enlightenment be born. Then, martial arts will no longer be just simple techniques but an art of high-level enlightenment." These words struck deep into Monkey King's heart. He pondered over each word about the incomplete grand path, and they fiercely penetrated his thoughts. Each shattered piece of his martial heart was breaking apart. Then Monkey King felt as if he were falling into a timeless void. Amidst the fog, he sensed something crumbling within him, and along with it emerged another scene, a large closed door blocking his path. As Monkey King pushed open the door, what met his eyes was something he had never imagined, a new and unfamiliar path. Yet, he sensed his grand purpose existing here. Suddenly, a notification appeared in the system: Wukong's value potential has successfully increased by 30%. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. A monkey thirsting for strength always desires to be stronger. He said, "How can I achieve it?" The reward is a top-tier character experience card. Ah no, it's Naja. Hello everyone, let's continue with the next episode of this story. After completing the system task, it awarded Hao Xian with another top-tier experience card for Naja, which made him very delighted. I never expected that every task reward would be such a top-tier character experience card. It's truly a great joy. Finally, my safety is guaranteed. How lucky. After witnessing Hao Xian's absolute power, Monkey King was also mesmerized. It knelt down and exclaimed, "Great sir, you are my benefactor. Please accept me as your disciple." It bowed low, earnestly pleading to be accepted. Seeing this, Hao Xian reiterated, "Accept you as my disciple. It's not impossible, but you must meet a condition for me to consider it." Hearing this, Monkey King became excited and asked eagerly, "Please tell me, I will fulfill any condition you set." As soon as Monkey King finished speaking, Hao Xian raised his voice to state his condition, with a smirk on his face. The condition was, in the future, you must not have any contact with anything adorable. Do you find my condition too simple? Upon hearing this condition from him, Monkey King turned into stone right on the spot. This shock was not insignificant for Monkey King, who turned pale and sweat profusely. This, what kind of request is this?" Hao Xian sneered at him, teasingly mocking, "As long as you swear not to have contact with anything cute, I will accept you as my disciple immediately. You only have two choices, one is to become a true man, and the other is to choose to be a quirky princess." Faced with this choice, Monkey King found it even harder than battling the Bull Demon King 300 times. Monkey King trembled at this choice because it was incredibly difficult for him. On one side was his innate preference for cute things, and on the other was the pinnacle of martial arts, which he had pursued his entire life. The more Monkey King looked, the more he felt like crying, and he sweated profusely. After a few seconds, he couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "I'm sorry, master, I can't give it up." Monkey King's rationality couldn't overcome his own heart. Despite his regret, there was no other way because he couldn't change it anymore. He bowed his head in resignation, blaming himself. Monkey King also knew, a strong person should not be fond of quirky things, but I can't resist, I really can't resist, do you understand? Hearing these words from a demon lord, whose name alone made the major sects tremble in fear, now behaving like a child, Hao Xian couldn't help but chuckle at this scene. But then he put his arm around Monkey King and said, "I'm just kidding, you're truly foolish." Hearing him say that, Monkey King couldn't understand, and Hao Xian patted his head, saying, "We have the right to like anything as long as it doesn't harm anyone. Let's go beat up those miserable fools who dared to mock you." When Hao Xian said this, he probably didn't realize that he was the one mocking someone. In the future, if anyone dares to call you quirky, then your master will go with you to beat up that wretched person. Upon hearing these words, Monkey King remained silent, saying nothing. Then Hao Xian walked ahead and said, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up." Monkey King obediently replied, "Yes," and ran after him. The young monkeys and others from the sect also ran after them, fervently pleading with the master to let them join, but he sternly refused, explaining that the more people there were, the more dangerous it would be. After a while, Hao Xian pondered, "It's true, I have to say it again. What exactly has happened in this world? Monkey King's attendant is clearly a Western creature, as is the sect master's magic, yet the locals don't seem to find anything strange about it. It's like they're used to it. Doesn't that mean that Western secret organizations will unexpectedly invade after 700 years? So what's happening now?" Lost in thought, the system suddenly appeared, startling him. Hao Xian jumped and cursed, "Oh my god, can't you stop appearing out of nowhere like this? My heart can't handle sudden shocks like this, you know." The system appeared to assign a new task to him. The third mission is unlocked, and the main content is to find the young martial goddess, mysterious lady, and increase potential by 30%. Upon hearing the task, Hao Xian solemnly remarked, "The first martial goddess in history, mysterious lady." Their reputations are indeed terrifying. The scene shifted to the palace of the Kingdom of Women, where various restrictive magic formations were scattered everywhere. Inside, a shadow was bound by chains and unable to move. This figure was the evil demon king, surrounded and sealed by powerful beings. He looked up and smirked wickedly, as expected of a king of a nation, "You are not on the same level as those little sects and schools." The redhead with formidable aura was none other than the queen of the Kingdom of Women, Zhang Lian. She continued, after 3 days of hard battle, we finally captured your demon king. There's no need to struggle anymore, you won't escape. The demon's head twisted into a sinister form resembling a dragon's head. Then she continued, even if you turn into a pile of bones, there's no escape. Once the celestial formation takes shape, the entire cultivating immortals world will have no one capable of unraveling it. I'm confident in this. The Demon King laughed loudly, the strongest formation on the continent. Indeed, it's not just a reputation, but what if I told you that I have truly mastered the power of the realm? Hearing this, she was startled and asked, what? Suddenly, a strange spatial vortex appeared under her feet, and she tried to escape but couldn't. After a while, she found herself in another space as dark as ink. The voice of the Demon King echoed, impressive, isn't it? This is the power of my realm, the realm of power. Here, I am divine, the ruler of all existence. And you can only submit to my arrangement. After speaking, the Demon King laughed maniacally and declared, you've lost. From today onwards, the entire kingdom of women will be my plaything. Of course, you'll be there too, the Demon King added, switching scenes to 7 days later, on the outskirts of the kingdom of women. After some traveling, he was now nearing the destination. Although his disciple was only a few steps away, he was forced to postpone his arrival for another day. Monkey King was currently hiding behind a small rock and asked, does Master really want to transform into this form? Excitedly, Hao Xian replied, have you transformed yet? Hurry up so that Master can see. Monkey King then transformed into a cute and tiny form, but felt embarrassed, saying, I like cute things, but isn't this a bit too much? Blushing, it covered its face and exclaimed. Oh my, this is so embarrassing. Hao Xian looked at it and reassured, embarrassed about what? Didn't I tell you? This is part of your cultivation. You'll understand later. After saying that, he hugged Monkey King affectionately and said, have I ever harmed you? You should trust your master. However, deep down, he had dark thoughts. He did this to bring along a spiritual creature, which would reduce the chances of encountering strong enemies by 50%. But he was unaware that behind the rock, someone was stealthily watching him, with a dangerously sly smile on their face. At this moment, 2 figures approached from behind the rock. One was large and appeared extremely fierce, while the other was small and held a pipe, chuckling cunningly as he spoke, gentlemen, you have quite unfamiliar faces. You must be new travelers here, right? Then he rubbed his hands together and laughed heartily, looking at Hao Xian and joking, after traveling a long distance, you must be quite tired, aren't you? Therefore, you also need a place to rest. Let me introduce you to countless lively entertainments to relieve your worries, gentlemen. Hearing these absurd words, Hao Xian stood there bewildered, feeling like his mind was still stuck on a 2G network, unable to catch up with the frequency. He couldn't help but think of Zhengzhou, where the elders gathered to indulge in revelry, sweating profusely. Those were the places that felt like heaven when you entered but felt like ascending to heaven when you left. Hao Xian struggled to control his emotions while silently thinking, Hao Xian, what are you thinking? You shouldn't bring your earthly debauchery thoughts to this simple cultivating immortals world. This is a different realm, how could such places exist here? I must have made a mistake. Lost in his thoughts, suddenly the other person approached Hao Xian quickly and enticed, all are young beauties, and all 69 positions have reached the ultimate realm. Hearing this, Hao Xian was left speechless and frozen in place, resembling a naive child with the perplexed expression of Emperor Takuta, but then he jumped up and refused, no, I'm still a teenager. Do you guys know that? I'm not married yet. And I don't want the government to support me. Places like that will get you arrested by the police. Seeing Hao Xian's rejection, the other person sneered coldly, then continued to entice, objective, I really don't want to hide anything from you, but I'll let you in on a thrilling truth. The kingdom of women has been captured by our Mr. Bigshot. You can choose any beauty in the entire city. Upon hearing this, Hao Xian became puzzled and turned to show interest. Then, he pulled out a golden-colored pearl and continued to boast, "If I don't show you, you won't believe it. Take a look at this." Inside the pearl appeared images of beautiful girls with seductive figures, and he looked at Hao Xian, saying, "These are all top-notch beauties from the kingdom of women. What do you think? Are you stimulated enough?" Hao Xian was stunned by the scene, his face turning pale. Then, he heard him say, "If you feel like you need more excitement, you can continue to stimulate yourself a bit more, as we also have some expertise in this area. Just because you haven't thought about it doesn't mean we can't do it." Hearing the despicable words of these despicable individuals, Monkey King angrily retorted, "Are you all tired of living, you beasts?" After he finished speak, Monkey King punched him, sending him flying with a shattered face. The frightened individual stuttered, "You. What are you planning to do? Don't come any closer." Monkey King, raging with anger, retorted, "What am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to teach you a lesson." Hao Xian, noticing the escalating situation, intervened, "That's enough, we have other things to attend to." Monkey King was taken aback when his master suddenly stopped him from attacking the despicable person, looking at him with confusion. Suddenly, Hao Xian grinned and grabbed Monkey King's robe, then addressed the other person, "Sorry about this, my disciple doesn't quite understand manners, so he's gotten himself into trouble." With that, he swiftly pulled Monkey King away, saying, "No need to make any appointments. Farewell." The two individuals watched as Hao Xian and Monkey King vanished into the distance, then sat down to discuss among themselves, calculating their next move. "Is it really that easy to let them go?" one of them questioned. The other, with anger in his eyes, replied, "Let them go. Cowards like them are not the ones we're looking for." After running for a while, Hao Xian arrived at a certain place, with Monkey King following angrily behind him, still simmering with frustration. It was muttering to itself, "Why is my master such a coward?" Hao Xian noticed Monkey King's demeanor and turned to ask, "What's wrong? Are you angry because I didn't say anything and just ran away?" Ignoring him, Monkey King turned away and said, "I don't know." Seeing this, Hao Xian explained, "If what that guy, Mr. Big Shot, said is true, and they've taken over the entire kingdom of women, why would they need to discreetly lure customers in such remote wilderness? It feels like they're spreading information within a small scope, waiting for someone to take the bait they've carefully laid out." Hearing this, Monkey King was stunned and thought to itself, "Oh no, am I really that naive? But is it really like that? I'm just a young monkey, why would I think so much?" At this moment, Hao Xian, with an angry expression, said, "The kingdom of women is probably just bait for these people. I'm sure they have bigger plans. But no matter what, these scumbags must be dealt with thoroughly. Currently, only 2 of them have appeared, but who knows if there are more in this multi-level marketing scam group. So, we can't stir up trouble recklessly. That's why I hurriedly ran away, you understand?" Hearing this, Monkey King felt enlightened and immediately knelt down, bowing its head, and said, "I was wrong, master. I misunderstood you as the most cowardly of rabbits, fearing death the most. I wrongly assumed that your previous strength was just a transient illusion." Monkey King's words didn't carry the weight of a holy sword, but each word pierced Hao Xian's dark heart unintentionally, causing continuous emotional damage. Hao Xian chuckled falsely, saying, "How could that be? Master couldn't be like that." But deep down, Hao Xian had indeed fled instinctively earlier, only realizing the problem later and relying on his immense intelligence to change course. After resolving the issue with the bloodthirsty disciple, he said, "All right, no more wasting time. We have to sneak into the city and catch them off guard." Monkey King nodded vigorously, saying, "We'll all follow Master's lead." While the master and disciple were still engrossed in their conversation, suddenly someone appeared behind Hao Xian and said, "Hey, you 2 perverts over there, where do you think you're going?" Startled by the sudden voice, Hao Xian turned around, and the woman's gaze was filled with disdain and disgust, as if she wanted to devour them alive. She continued, "Your companions have been killed by me. Where do you think you're going?" Hao Xian also noticed that the two figures she held in her hand were the same ones from earlier. But how could she shrink them like that? At that moment, the system also notified that she was the mysterious lady, the target of Hao Xian's mission this time. After hearing this shocking news, he was surprised and broke out in a cold sweat. Damn, is she really the one? But why is she? At this point, she glared at Hao Xian, her anger palpable. You treat women as toys. You scum have completely reached my lady's limits. As soon as she finished speaking, she brandished her sword and attacked Hao Xian. He panicked and exclaimed, Miss, could you at least listen to my explanation first before attacking? Hao Xian was trembling with fear, feeling like he was about to wet his pants, but Monkey King, driven by his martial prowess and hot temper, retorted, Master, why explain to her? It was precisely because of his hot-headedness that he had managed to survive until now. With his blood boiling, he charged at the mysterious lady, ready to brawl, while taunting her, if you're so good, then come at me, and that's the end of the story for now. See you in the next episode.